Hey, what's going on, team? It's Ricky. Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes that I made when it came down to buying my first house at age 20. It's not this house that I currently live in now. I'm 24. I've invested in a total of 7 properties, and in no way am I an absolute expert. But I do have experience, and based off of that experience, I'm going to talk to you about a specific approach on how to negotiate and how I hope that within just this simple video, you can end up saving a couple hundred, or if not, a couple $1,000s, depending on the next house that you purchase. I really hope that you enjoy.
All right, so let's go ahead and get right to it. So I bought my first house the end of 2015. I was 20 years old, about to turn 21, and it was one of the biggest accomplishments, or one of the biggest milestones that I've ever accomplished at that time, as I think any 20-year-old can kind of say, other than maybe having a girlfriend and graduating high school. So one of the things, and this is the only time that I made this specific mistake. And I don't even want to call it a mistake because it wasn't necessarily something that I was aware of. And I think this is where a lot of people lie. And again, in no way am I any real estate expert. And this is just from my experience. This is the only time that I did not practice this specific kind of approach. It's not even a strategy, it's no secret. All it is that, I learned from the real estate agent that I was working on. I was really lucky to work with a very motivated, a very well-versed real estate agent that taught me. I'm someone that likes to understand what they're about to invest in. And this property was gonna be the biggest investment that I made. I'm from California, I moved to Arizona, I was going to the ASU campus, and I was so excited to buy my first house. I got pre-qualified, my credit score, my overall income, I had enough money for the down payment. I wanted to go for a 10 to 20% down to get rid of the PMI. He taught me what the PMI was. He also educated me on the earnest money deposit. He educated me on, looking at the MLS, looking at similar comps in the area, understanding what other comps within the area of similar kind of spec, size, and condition are selling for, what my house is worth, and stuff like that. And it's kind of like when it comes down to investing in cars. And yeah, I did say that, investing in cars. You kind of try to get a better understanding of what that car is worth by referencing other cars and what they're being sold for around that similar area. It's very similar for these properties. And then you can determine what those were sold for and what yours will most likely be valued at before you actually do an appraisal. And I did a very good job with that. What it ended up coming down to was, I ended up getting an amazing deal on the house that I bought. It was a foreclosed home, and I was actually buying it from the bank. And one of the things that I noticed, and again, this is just based off my experience, is that I did not try to negotiate at all in any way, and I'm not even too sure if it was possible to negotiate because it was bank owned at this time, because the previous owner actually lost the house. But one of the things that I learned shortly after, I think it was about 6 months, 8 months later, when I purchased my next home, I understood the closing cost. This was not something that I was familiar with. Again, I've never purchased a house before other than just my first one. And one of the things that I noticed is that there's these title companies, right? These title companies that record the overall transaction that is happening. And one of the things that I saw is that these title companies charge certain fees for their closing costs, and I just thought there were fees that were fixed, meaning that they could not be changed. But at the end of the day, one of the things that I began to understand, and again, this is all the whole purpose of this video, one of the things that I began to understand is that I can work with any title company that I want to. It's usually the real estate agent that will present you with a title company that they recommend. But at the end of the day, you are the sole decision maker on which one you actually want to work with. So what can you simply do when it comes down to buying your first house or buying your next house? All these different title companies want to make money, want to close for you, and want to record for you. So one of the beautiful things that you can do is that you can begin shopping for different title companies, and they want your business. They're going to make money, and at the end of the day, you're going to have to pay the money for their service. They bring value to the overall transaction, and that has to be understood. But it doesn't mean that you have to pay the price to the first one thrown at you. So all I ask you, what I've done in my experience, and if you're a real estate agent, feel free to comment on what you think, right? If I'm right or if I'm wrong. I'm in the Arizona area, and every property that I've invested in has been in the Arizona area. After I purchased my first house, I became aware of this. And ever since then, I've always negotiated my closing costs. And this is something that I don't think a lot of people focus on. First of all, they're very excited. They might be buying their first house, they might be buying an investment property, and they might not be even aware that these are not fixed fees, that you can go shopping for different title companies and their business. But at the end of the day, you're the one that decides. So if you then begin to compare prices and get estimates of what the closing fees would be, then you can begin to negotiate. Say, well, this title company said that they would, do this type of service for me for so-and-so. Can you beat that price? And if they can beat the price, then you go shopping somewhere else. And if they can beat that price, then you go shopping for someone else until you hit a price point that actually makes sense for you. And the reason I think a lot of people overlook this is once they understand that this can be done, the transactions that are usually happening when it comes down to buying a house, they're in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And people don't always think, when they're taking out a loan of that dollar amount, that, maybe a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 really matters. But at the end of the day, at least for myself, I'm a deal hunter, and I want to make sure that I do my part as a not savvy investor, but just someone that wants to be well versed in what they invest in. I want to save every single dollar that I can, as long as it makes sense and as long as I'm aware of it. So all I'm doing today is making you aware for your next house or for your first house. I think it's great that if you're in the process of, buying your first property or buying your next property, partner up with a real estate agent that's very well versed and that can reassure you that you're getting a good deal. That's, at the end of the day, my primary focus, making sure that I do my part as a real estate investor to get the best deal possible to my knowledge, right? After you set yourself up for success, now there's these little fees when it comes down to closing with the overall commission that you're gonna have to pay your real estate agent and the overall closing fees and title fees that you're going to incur throughout this transaction. And all I ask you is to understand that not all these prices and percentages are fixed, that you can speak up, and although the process of buying a property can be overwhelming, keep it simple. Understand that you do have options, and that if the real estate agent does provide you with one option, that it's not the only one out there. And I would encourage you to reach out to them, verify this with them, and see if you can find a better deal elsewhere. It might take a little bit of time, but it might save you a couple hundred, if not a couple $1,000s, and I think that effort might go a long way. So I really do appreciate your guys' time. And like I said, in no way am I a real estate expert. I just know that from my approach of when I bought my first house to my approach of buying the 6 properties that followed, I just did my part as a real estate investor, if you want to say, to try to save every dollar that I can. When it comes down to the commission that I paid to the real estate agent, when it comes down to the closing fees, when it comes down to title fees, I want to make sure that that they do earn my business and that I value them and I pay them what they are worth, but that I also do my part to try to save as much as I can, as I worked really hard for my money, and I want to make sure that it works really hard for you. So I really do appreciate you guys' time. I really hope that I earned your thumbs up in this video. I don't make too many real estate videos. I am currently working with Lenny. I just funded a hard money loan for Lenny in the Scottsdale area for $285,000. So I'm really excited on that. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I've been reposting Lenny's progress pics, and I'll have a video for you guys shortly after that. So pretty much what I do with that is I fund a loan, right? So I provide the cash for a loan. I get a percentage, which is like my interest. I'm pretty much like the bank. I'm the lender, right? And Lenny will pay me an interest on that specific loan, and I make money as long as he keeps that loan. So it's a very exciting process, and on top of that, I'm learning from the best real estate agent in Arizona and how to successfully buy and flip a home and completely remodel it, which is definitely something that I want to get into, but I want to learn from the best to be potentially one of the best. So I really do appreciate you guys' time. I hope I earned your thumbs up. I hope that you guys could subscribe. I do want to remind you that we do have our Sunday Stock Talk tonight, which is our biggest live event. So if you've ever wanted to get your feet wet when it comes down to day trading in the stock market, I run the largest YouTube channel. I run the largest private Facebook group for those who day trade in the stock market. So if you have time at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to be going live, and I'm going to be breaking down the top stocks that you see value in. All you have to do is tune in, shout it out, and then again, I'm going to be breaking it down for you. So it's going to be a fun time, and again, make sure that you set your reminder. If you guys have not joined our free Facebook group, it's absolutely for free. We're the largest one out there, and it's that first link down below. Like always, guys, continue working hard, continue following your dreams, let your passion be what drives your success, and like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.